Hi guys! Here is a statistic for you. 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic have been created from 1950 until 2015. That is equivalent of the weight of 100 billion elephants. So that's a scary statistic. The worst of it is that only 30% of that plastic is still in circulation. The rest has been disposed of in landfills and, as we know, in our oceans and our rivers, and only 9% of that has been actually recycled. What really got me thinking is that half the amount of plastic generated since 1950 has actually been generated in the last 13 years. That means that we have created 4 billion metric tons of plastic in just 13 years. So the growth of plastic production has exponentially grown in the last 13 years. I'm 39 years old, so this has happened right under my nose during my adult life. And now I consider myself sort of like the plastic generation. I'm sure in 50 to 100 years to come, we will be remembered as that generation that allowed this to happen and created all this plastic that has contaminated the world. And why did we let it happen? Well, I personally felt in the last 10 to 15 years, once recycling came into households, that everything that was put in my recycling bin was going to be recycled. Nobody told me all the things that we know now, that it needs to be washed and dry and loose, and the soft plastics, for example, are not recyclable items. We were told to put everything in our recycling bin and that we were safe in the knowledge that it would be recycled. So when all this overpackaging started and when single-use plastics started, we were all under the impression that it was going to be recycled. I used to buy bottles of water when I'm driving in the car. If I'm driving from a job to a job, I'll buy a bottle of water and I would never feel guilty. Fast forward to the present, and the last time I was in the car and I had a 2-hour drive ahead of me, I had forgotten my Keep water bottle and I felt guilty to buy a new bottle of water because I know what I know now. So why does the guilt and the blame is put on us when we have been told and lied to over the years to say that all our plastic was going to be recycled? I feel like we all lived in ignorant bliss, thinking it didn't matter how much plastic we were creating in our lives, in our day-to-day lives, because it was going to be recycled. Plastic manufacturers were able to increase their production and by default increase their wallets under the swindle of recycling. In 1950, they created 2 million metric tons of plastic. In 2015, they created 400 million tons of plastic. That's a 200% increase in production in 65 years. I wonder what it is now in 2019. I guarantee you it's much higher than that. I personally feel cheated. I thought I was doing my bit all along in the last 15 years. And now in the last couple of years, we've realised that that wasn't the case. Today, 1 million bottles of water are actually bought every single minute. And let me say that again, 1 million per minute around the world. And now the blame is put on us, on the consumer, even though we have been lied to for the last 15 years. And we all thought that it was okay to buy bottled water because it's hard plastic and it will be recycled. So why did nobody explain to us the reality of recycling sooner? And who would have thought that recycling could be one of the biggest swindles of the last 20 years? I'll see you next week, hopefully with better news.